Hello everyone, back to you into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days, or today's second video, which will take us to around the 28th of April. We should be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles running around a couple of weeks. And of course, have a look at CFSV2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. 4 weeks, that'll take us into the second half of May. The first video release day was weekend forecast, as always on a Saturday. Got your week ahead look ahead, and tonight around 6-7 o'clock we're going to have the Beijing Climate Centre versus CFSV2 6-month look ahead. We're going to get two long range models together and see what they're all showing for the next 6 months. I want to record that. It's quite an interesting watch, actually. Big contrast between the two models, but have a look, see what's going on. It's just for fun, just have a bit of a laugh at it. But that'll be with you around 6 to 7 o'clock tonight. I'll talk you through what's happening tomorrow at Gasworth's at the end of the video. Before I do anything else, I'm going to say a big thank you to our very first ever YouTube channel member. So I said about this yesterday. YouTube has enabled channel membership on the Gasworthy's YouTube channel, so you can now become a YouTube channel member for £4.99 per month. You can become a member of the Gasworthy's YouTube channel. That will give you a badge next to your name when you comment on videos, or when you get involved in the live chat during the live streams. You get a badge that goes with your names. During the live streams, you'll also be entitled to use custom-made emojis. There can be weather emojis. Got 4 of those so far. There will be more set to be added. And there are various other benefits and perks that you're going to get from becoming a Gasworthy's YouTube channel member. One of them will be a shout-out in the videos, of course. And you're going to get early access to the NAO forecast for the coming winter. That'll be in the summer. You get a week's early access. And there's going to be live streams once a month exclusive for channel members. So I'll be starting from June. So we've had several new members already. I'm totally blown away, as always, by the response that you all give to everything that we do at Gasworthy's. So each individual channel member will get their own individual member in the coming days. So we've got a few to get through already. I will get round to everybody in their own individual video. I don't want to sort of put 2 or 3 people together. I don't think that's fair. I think it would be much fairer to give everybody a shout out in their own individual video. So the very first Gasworthy's YouTube channel member is Michael Campbell. Michael Campbell, you were the very first channel member for Gav's Weather Vids. So a big thank you to you, Michael. Keep a very close eye, this is for all channel members, keep a very close eye on the community tab, where there will be posts within there that are just for the channel members, and they'll contain like links to live streams when we do the once a month live streams for channel members, and also the link to the NAO forecast, be able to watch that exclusively. So the community tab, community button here, will be very important for all channel members. But thank you so much, Michael, for becoming our latest, or our very first, I suppose I should say, YouTube channel member. Thank you so much, Michael, for doing that. If you would like to become a channel member for Gasworthy's, all you need to do is click the join button just here on the channel homepage, or with any of the videos. Again, there we are. This is the weekend forecast. It's just been released. Click the join button, and that will take you through to another page where you'll be able to sign up for channel membership. 1 or 2 people have not been able to see the join button on iPads and iPhones. That button appears to be missing, but there is another way of doing it, and that is in the description here. So just here we've got Gasworthy's YouTube channel membership. This is the description, of course, at YouTube. So I've got all of the links here to all of the various pages and whatnot. But the very first one you'll see is this one, Gasworthy's YouTube channel membership. If you click that, 1 or 2 people have been a bit confused about where this is going when they click that. So you click that and it will take you to another page, and that's going to go through right now. So here we go. That's loading up the next page that you will go onto, and it is this page. Now, I want to be being thrown about where this is going, but this is the Gazworthy's YouTube channel membership page, and you can see that says Gazworthy's channel membership. There's a video that's loading up that I've recorded to tell everyone a little bit more about channel membership, and this one you have a join button, so you just click the join button, and again it's the same idea. There's the badges and emojis that you get for becoming a channel member, and these are the various other things that you're going to get for becoming a channel member for Gazworthy's just here that we talked about just there. So it's relatively straightforward to be able to do it, and I hope that the people that are becoming channel members are going to enjoy their membership. Thank you so much, everybody, for becoming YouTube channel members for Gazworthy's. And again, a special thank you to our very, very first YouTube channel member. Thank you so much to Michael Campbell. Thank you so much, Michael Campbell, for becoming our very first YouTube channel member. Right, we'll move on with the video then, and we're going to start off with the central temperature. So this is how the CET is currently looking from Hadley, provisional to yesterday, 17th of April. We're standing at 10.8. That's an anomaly of 3.5 degrees above average. Very, very substantially above average indeed. That's a really, really warm, really warm anomaly that we've got there. It's a bigger anomaly even than we had in January and February. They're around 2.5 degrees above average, but this one is 3.5 degrees above average. So very, very warm, very, very warm April up to this point, and I don't see that changing a great deal. It may actually go up as we go into next week. It may start to lift up a little bit more. So yeah, a really warm April so far. As we move towards the end of the month, though, there are signs of a bit of a change. So these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from Penn State University for the next week to 10 days, with the ECMWF on the top and the GFS on the bottom. So 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates to high pressure, blue to low pressure. And you can see that, yes, we've got this area of above average heights with the ECM in the 7 to 10 day time frame sitting to our north and northwest. So this is almost becoming a northern blocking feature with high pressure going up towards Greenland. There's a trough of low pressure, which of course is extending down through much of northern Europe. Lots of low pressure up there, extending down through the northern part of Europe and in the middle of the Atlantic as well. And it leads us doing something a little bit like this with the jet stream. So the jet stream is actually starting to push southwards, and we're very, very close now to pulling in some much cooler air from the north to northeast. And possibly, if this trough of low pressure was to back far enough west, turn things unsettled if that trough of low pressure was to back west into northwestern Europe. It certainly looks quite a lot cooler in the 7 to 10 day time frame. The GFS, though, is very different, but it is unsettled, or more unsettled anyway. So no high pressure within the northern latitudes, no high pressure up towards Greenland. Instead, we've got a ridge that's somewhere around the Bay of Biscay, and low pressure just generally starting to develop to the north of the country with the jet stream beginning to come back. So that's starting to break down the high pressure and turn us into a more Atlantic-driven pattern, turn us into more of a wet and windy type of pattern, or certainly bands of rain coming in off the Atlantic anyway. But very different between the two options. ECM there, GFS there, very different options, and quite unusual to see such differences in the 7 to 10 day time frame. We have seen a lot of uncertainty in model output over the past few weeks, of course. Whether this is anything to do with the lockdown that's going on, not just in the UK, but across most parts of the world, and the big reduction in aviation that's currently taking place. And of course, aviation provides a lot of the measurements and a lot of the parameters for the models. It provides a lot of the starting point features. So whether that's anything to do with it, I don't know. But we have seen a lot of uncertainty through this April. A lot of chopping and changing within the model output. It looks like that uncertainty certainly goes on towards the end of April, with big differences between the two models in terms of the overall synoptic setup. So be interesting to see where things goes in the next week or two. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Aberdeen. We're in Aberdeen today. And upper air temperatures are above average, and they're set to stay above average, really, for the next week to 10 days. Dates on the bottom of the chart, so that's taking us into the last week of April just there. And upper air temperatures still above average even then. Beyond that, overall, quite mild with the upper air temperatures. A bit of scatter, of course, as we get towards the end of April and the beginning of May. These are the warmer ensemble members just here. These are the cooler ensemble members down there. So there's a little bit of uncertainty between the ensemble members as we get through to like the very end of the month and into start of May. But overall, it's quite a clear-cut, consistent signal to be above average with the upper air temperatures, at least for Aberdeen. For the next week to 10 days and probably even beyond. Precipitation wise looks completely dry for the next week and have a whole week's worth of dry weather. After that, the precipitation spikes do start to come back during the last week of April and into the opening days of May. There's not a huge number of them, but certainly there is a little bit more precipitation appearing there for the very end of April, beginning of May, possibly hinting it's going a bit more unsettled. But that's all, of course, extended range stuff. It's a very long way out, so there's a lot of uncertainty within the GFS and its ensembles for that period as we come towards the end of April and the beginning of May. Temperature anomalies from the 18th to the 26th of April look like that. A little bit above average, actually. Rather above average for the UK and for Ireland. Not really a surprise, given the upper air temperatures. So, yes, it's a relatively warm week coming up. Looks a lot cooler across eastern and southeastern parts of Europe, I have to say. Precipitation anomalies from the 18th to 26th of April, largely drier than average, not just for the UK, but through most parts of northern Europe. So it's a mild and relatively dry week to come. That's how the GFS is looking for Tuesday. This is all covered by weekend forecast, of course. Tuesday brings in an easterly wind with high pressure over Scandinavia. We're high and dry through most of next week. Towards the end of next week, there's a bit of a breakdown of the ridge, but it's not really until next weekend that we start to turn things more unsettled. But it does start to turn properly unsettled. Low pressure begins to swing in from off the Atlantic. So we're moving up towards day 10. Obviously, we're under low pressure now. This is much more unsettled with the GFS operational run. Low pressure right over the top of the country by day 10. Moving out beyond that, again, stays quite unsettled really as we come towards the end of April and the beginning of May. We've got further low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. So it does look as though the GFS operational runs are flirting with breaking down the ridge and turning things unsettled in around a week's time. But from the ensemble point of view, there's not a huge amount of, not huge signs of that happening. And we know that the ECM also doesn't really want to bring the Atlantic back in, at least up to day 10. So quite what's going on with the GFS operational runs, trying to return us back into westerlies and low pressure between days 7 and 10, I'm not sure. GEM looks like that. So again, high pressure is over Scandinavia on Tuesday, bringing in wind from the east. Going to be loads of dry weather in the coming week. Heading up towards the end of next week, begins to turn a little bit more showery. Not particularly unsettled, but it's turning more showery with the GEM. And as we head up towards day 10, we are trying to move some low pressure in from off the Atlantic, but it's coming up against this high pressure sitting to both our north and northeast. There's a bit of a battle going on there with high pressure to the northeast and low pressure to the west-southwest. And so the two air masses are coming up against one another. And that probably brings rain into west, but many northern east there is probably still dry even up to day 10 with that one. The ECM, again, we've got the high pressure over Scandinavia. Winds are coming in from the east on Tuesday. That goes on into Wednesday, Thursday. Loads of dry weather up to the end of next week. Next weekend, start to take high pressure further northwards. We saw it on the height anomaly flow chart, Penn State University. High pressure begins to push up towards Greenland. Low pressure is starting to plunge through Scandinavia, so this is starting to turn things a bit colder. And as we get up towards day 10, we've got this high pressure out to our northwest, still keeping us mainly dry. It's quite cold. Winds are in from the east to northeast with that one. And have got a bit of low pressure to our south across northern parts of France. That could bring some showery rain into the south. But you'll notice that that's a lot more blocked compared to the GFS. We are not bringing in low pressure from the Atlantic, not bringing in westerlies as the GFS is doing. So they are very substantially different, the GFS and the ECM today at day 10. And I think the GM is probably somewhere in the middle, really. Very uncertain picture in the day 7 to 10 time frame. This is the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which is the 28th of April. We have 51 out of 51 members of the ECM ensembles, all of them going for high pressure to be away to the northwest, some low pressure in the Atlantic. However, we're more or less fending off that low pressure and bringing in quite cool winds probably from the northeast and reasonably dry up to that point. Now, in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got, and there are signs of a change here. This is for the 3rd of May. 18 members of the ECL ensembles look unsettled. Yes, low pressure is really coming through the north of Europe. 14 with low pressure out to the northwest, high pressure sitting just to the east, flow sort of flat westerly with that. 10 with high pressure out to the west, and 9 down here with low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. So almost a 50-50 split really between these ones that are unsettled. Actually, I think they're just about in the majority, actually, these two here that are unsettled, and these two options that are more anticyclonic, more settled. So actually the ECM ensembles are probably favouring a change to unsettled conditions by the early part of May. So what could be going on is that the ECM is just a little bit delayed, but does eventually get to where the GFS is between days 7 to 10. So the ECM takes a little bit longer to get there, or the ECM ensembles take a little bit longer to get there, but eventually by the early part of May, perhaps both the GFS and the ECM come into line and favour more unsettled weather perhaps for the early part of May. Finally, the CFS V2, let's see whether CFS can shed any light on things. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period will take us from the 18th to 24th of April. The coming week is dominated by high pressure. Winds are in from the east, so going to be lots of dry weather. That east will have a bit of a chill to it at times, especially for eastern parts of the country. Quite significantly different in week 2. This is 25th of April to the 1st of May. Low pressure then extends in through the north and west of Europe. High pressure pushes off over towards Greenland and Iceland. This turns more unsettled. It also turns cooler as well as the flow and the jet stream does something like that. Week 3, another change, is the 2nd to the 8th of May. The above average heights then back into the north of Scotland. Low pressure pushed away into the Atlantic. That's turning mainly dry. Winds probably east to northeasterly with that. And then another change into week 4, very changeable for weeks to come, if this is right. This is the 9th to the 15th of May. High pressure then centres over Greenland. Low pressure comes in off the Atlantic and covers northern Europe. High pressure is down through the Mediterranean. So, of course, that brings hot weather into the Med, probably the first proper heat wave of the year down in the Mediterranean. But for us, actually, we're close to the jet stream. And probably bring the jet stream through, something like that. So rather cool and unsettled there across northern and western parts of Europe. But that is 4 weeks away, and it's a very, very long way out. And as we've already established, even within sort of the days 7, 8, 9, 10 time frame, there are big, big differences between the GFS and the ECM. But I suspect what could be happening here is that we may see a change to more unsettled conditions. But the GFS is probably a little bit progressive in doing that. We know the GFS tends to favour westerliness a lot of the time. It tends to be trying to bring low pressure in from the Atlantic. So the GFS could be right, but I would suspect the GFS is just a little bit too quick in breaking down all of the high pressure and returning us back to westerlies. And the ECM is probably closer to the money, or maybe the GM actually, which suggests the high pressure makes a bit more of a fight of it, and it might not be until the very end of the month and the beginning of May that we re-establish more unsettled weather from off the Atlantic. And of course then it will be a case of seeing how long any unsettled weather was to go on for. Right, that's it for video number 2 for today. We shall be back later on with the 6-month mashup with the GFS, 7th I should say, and the Beijing Climate Centre. Going to get those 2 models together and set up the show for the next 6 months. Takes us from next month, May, right way through to October. And then tomorrow, very busy day coming up. We'll start off with the 6th Summer 2020 Analogues update. We'll have Gals Weather's Sunday roundup. We'll look at the ECMWF Metro France and DWD seasonal model. And of course, between 5 and 6 o'clock on the YouTube channel, there will be a live stream. We're going to get together. Everyone will check in, hopefully, and see how we're all doing while we remain with this horrible coronavirus crisis. And we're all in lockdown and isolation. We're going to have the chance to come together and see how we're all getting on. And that will be between 5 and 6 o'clock on the Gals Weather's YouTube channel tomorrow. We shall be interactive, so you'll be able to get involved with the live chat, and we're taking as many of your questions as you got. So if you've got any questions about this update or any other update, then do please save them for the live stream tomorrow, and we'll do our best to answer everybody's questions during the live stream. That's between 5 and 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. But the next video up will be the CFS versus Beijing Climate Centre 6-month lookout. That will be around 6 to 7 o'clock. And for this video, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.